There are secrets carved in stone that most people walk past without noticing. At the edges of broken pillars, in faded reliefs, in the geometry of arches that still stand against the desert sun, there is a pattern repeating itself across every culture. In Egypt, twin thrones carved of granite once sat side by side, equal in size, equal in dignity. They were not symbols of hierarchy, but of balance, king and queen, masculine and feminine, standing as mirrors of one another. Priests carried chalices filled with wine that glowed in the lamplight, and flames that hissed as they rose into the air. The incense would have thickened the halls, filling the lungs of those who entered until they swam in fragrance and firelight. To the crowd it was royal ceremony. To the initiate, it was a reminder that the true throne was inside, waiting for the marriage of two eternal forces. In Mesopotamia, the hymns of Inanna and Dumuzi echoed through ziggurats that reached toward the stars. Every year the story was retold. Every year the marriage was reenacted. To the people it was a blessing of crops, a prayer for fertile fields. But hidden in the verses was the memory of Inanna's descent into the underworld, where she surrendered crown and robe at each gate, where she was stripped of all power and entered naked into the shadows. There she met death itself, and there her reunion with Dumuzi carried a secret. Only in surrender, only in descent, could true union be found. Their embrace was not just of lovers, but of opposites, light and darkness, life and death, masculine and feminine. The people sang their hymns, but the priests knew the code. This was a map of the inner soul. In Greece, the torches flickered in the night air. Hundreds of them carried in solemn procession. From afar it looked like theater, a drama staged for the gods. But within hidden chambers, the Eleusinian initiates experienced something that words barely preserve. The goddess Persephone and her union with the unseen god were not about agriculture alone. They were initiations into death, rebirth, and the secret marriage of the soul with its own hidden half. Bread, wine, flame, chalice, all used as doors to remind the body of what the spirit had forgotten. And in the earliest whispers of Christianity, when the teachings were still fluid, there was a memory of something far more radical than what the later empire preserved. Bread and wine were not only symbols of sacrifice, but of union. Christ and Magdalene were remembered by some as more than teacher and follower. They were Logos and Sophia, word and wisdom, lover and beloved. Their kiss was not scandal but sacrament, a transmission of the sacred marriage itself. Later the story was fractured, sanitized, reduced. But in Gnostic texts and secret traditions the current still pulsed, carrying the same fire that Isis and Osiris, Inanna and Dumuzi, Shiva and Shakti had embodied for centuries before. Everywhere you look, there are ceremonies of sacred union. On the surface, they blessed the land, legitimized the throne, or celebrated fertility. But to those who could read the codes, they were always about something more. They were outer mirrors of an inner union, reflections of what lived inside each initiate. The lover and the beloved, the flame and the chalice, the breath that enters and the breath that yields. The ancients left their messages in symbols, the caduceus two serpents spiraling upward around a single rod, touching at the crown in a kiss of fire. Today it is reduced to an emblem of healing, but once it was a map of inner energy, masculine and feminine currents rising through the spine, weaving together, until union crowned the initiate with vision. The vesica piscis, two circles overlapping, forming a shining almond-shaped portal that appeared again and again in temple blueprints. It was the womb of creation itself, the opening that appears when opposites unite. The chalice and the blade raised together in ceremony, not merely as tools but as living emblems of receptivity and penetration, of water and fire, of beloved and lover. These were not ornaments. They were encrypted instructions, placed in plain sight for those ready to awaken. And then there were the myths. Stories sung in temples, painted on walls, whispered around firelight. Isis wandering the earth, gathering the scattered body of Osiris piece by piece, until she breathed life back into him. This was no tale of grief alone. It was a code, the soul seeking its other half, the feminine remembering the masculine, the broken made whole again. Their union conceived Horus, the divine child, proof that from inner marriage comes new creation. Inanna, radiant queen of heaven, stepping down into darkness, at each gate she surrendered another symbol of power, crown, necklace, staff, robe, until she stood naked before shadow. Struck down, hung on a hook, she seemed lost forever, yet through surrender came renewal. Through death came the chance to meet Dumuzi, not as goddess of power, but as soul of vulnerability. Their union in that depth was more than erotic, it was cosmic. It revealed that the beloved is only truly met when we release all masks. That union requires descent as much as ascent. In India, the dance of Shiva and Shakti was told again and again. Shiva, the unmoving awareness, still and eternal. Shakti, the pulsing force of creation, vibrant and unstoppable. Their embrace was not about flesh alone. It was the merging of consciousness and energy, the moment when awareness and motion became one. Yogis meditated on this dance within their own bodies, breathing in stillness, breathing out energy, waiting for the moment when the two currents spiraled together and lit the crown with fire. And then there is Christ and Magdalene, fragmented and suppressed but never silenced. In hidden texts, they appear not as distant figures, but as archetypes of the inner marriage. Christ the Logos, divine reason, the lover. Magdalene the Sophia, divine wisdom, the beloved. Their kiss became a transmission, a recognition that word and wisdom must unite. The empire could censor, but mystics still carried the story, for they knew it was never about scandal. It was about initiation. These myths were never only myths. They were initiatory maps. To hear them was to stir memory in the body. To watch them enacted was to align your breath with the cosmos. To walk through temple doors carved with sun and moon, to stand between twin pillars, was to stand in the place between opposites, to feel them meeting in your chest. Imagine being the initiate, the temple floor cool beneath your feet, the sound of chanting echoing through stone, flames flickering on the walls, their light crawling over images of gods and goddesses locked in embrace, the smell of cedar and frankincense wrapping around you, a chalice pressed into your hands, heavy, its wine shimmering like blood and starlight. Across from you, a priest raises a torch, golden fire spilling shadows into every corner. And then they tell you, the chalice is your heart, the flame is your will. Bring them together within you, and you will awaken the child of light, the radiant self that was waiting all along. This was the secret. Every outer rite mirrored an inner truth. Every sacred marriage enacted in temples was pointing to the marriage in the soul. But over time, the meaning dimmed. Kings claimed the rights to glorify themselves. Emperors reduced them to propaganda. The sacred marriage became spectacle, stripped of its inner fire. And yet the symbols endured. They were carved too deeply, sung too passionately, woven too tightly into culture to be erased. The Vesica Piscis still shines in church windows. The caduceus reappeared as a sign of healing. The chalice and the flame still surface in dreams and visions. And now, across centuries, you feel the pull. You hear these stories, and they stir not curiosity but recognition. You see the symbols, and they do not feel foreign, they feel like home. That is because the ritual is not over. It has been waiting for you. Every inhale is the lover arriving. Every exhale is the beloved opening. Every heartbeat is their vow, spoken again and again. And when you let them meet, you stand in the same lineage as those who sang hymns in ziggurats, who walked barefoot through temples, who guarded these mysteries with their lives. You are not apart from them. You are their continuation. You are their fulfillment. Close your eyes. Inhale slowly, and feel a spark stir in the roots of your body. Exhale gently, and sense your chest opening like a silver bowl. Inhale, the lover rises, golden and steady. Exhale, the beloved opens, receptive and vast. Again, inhale, fire climbs. Exhale, water receives. Breath by breath, vow by vow, you walk the ancient path of the hieros gamos. This rhythm was always the hidden ritual. The body was the temple, the breath, the priest, the heart, the altar now, here, in you. The initiates were led slowly, station by station, and you may follow. At the root, inhale, the lover awakens your right to be, to stand, to endure. Exhale, the beloved roots you, patient as earth, holding your weight without judgment. Inhale, lover rises, legs alive. Exhale, beloved opens, ground receiving. The vow repeats until the bones remember, I am here, and here is sacred. At your belly, inhale, the lover stirs desire, hunger for life, the warm urge to create. Exhale, the beloved reshapes hunger into joy, desire into creative pulse, motion into dance. Inhale, fire curls upward. Exhale, water cools and shapes it. Inhale, passion quickens. Exhale, creativity flows. The serpents wake gold and silver winding into a living braid of becoming. At your solar plexus, inhale, the lover ignites courage and direction, a sun inside your ribs. Exhale, the beloved cups the blaze, turning force into purpose, pride into service. Inhale, strength gathers without cruelty. Exhale, humility steadies without collapse. Power ripens as promise rather than threat. At the heart, inhale, the lover pours devotion, the brave warmth that would cross any distance. Exhale, the beloved opens as compassion, the soft strength that will not abandon itself. Inhale, wings unfurl behind the sternum. Exhale, warmth spills through your veins. Again, fire that does not consume, water that does not drown. This is love learning its true weight. At the throat, inhale, the lover lends you voice, clear and ringing. Exhale, the beloved gifts you silence, the resonant pause that makes truth audible. Inhale, word. Exhale, space. Inhale, declaration. Exhale, listening. Wisdom is speech, married to stillness. At the brow, inhale, the lover flashes like lightning, piercing illusion, revealing clean sight. Exhale, the beloved spreads sky, a great night of quiet where insight can land. Inhale, see. Exhale, know. Inhale, discern. Exhale, understand. Vision becomes gentle and precise. At the crown, inhale, the lover ascends, flame reaching heaven. Exhale, the beloved rises, silver river climbing to meet it. They entwine, kiss, and burst as light. In that brilliance, a third presence steps forward, not fire, not water, but light. Not lover, not beloved, but the radiant child of their union. The self, whole, sovereign, awake. This is the inner sacrament beneath every outer rite. The chalice was always your heart. The flame was always your will. The twin thrones carved in stone were always the equal dignities within. The stories of Isis and Osiris, Inanna and Dumuzi, Shiva and Shakti, Christ and Magdalene, maps of your breath, diagrams of becoming. And yet empire fears souls who remember. A person married within cannot be ruled like a hungry half. They love without desperation. They act without domination. They yield without collapse. They create without depletion. Such a person is free, and freedom that does not require permission unseats thrones. So the right was hollowed and hidden. See the hall of a king. Marble pillars, polished gold, a crowd roaring approval. A priestess lifts the chalice. A blade touches its rim. Trumpets flare. Oaths are proclaimed. The initiate watching feels only absence. Form remains. Fire is gone. Symbol stands. Essence has fled. See a council centuries later. Tall candles, ink-stained fingers, voices raised. Texts are gathered. Names debated. Magdalene rises in the air, a name that carries Sophia, beloved. Wisdom in balance with word. Some plead to honor her. Others demand erasure, a vote, silence. A pillar removed from the inner temple so hierarchy can stand without question. See a monastery at night. A monk bends over vellum, wax pools beside his wrist. He dares not write what he knows, so he paints two serpents around a small chalice in the margin, a golden whisper at a page's edge. He prays that a future eye will see. See an alchemist in a hidden workshop, grinding minerals, whispering of the Red King and the White Queen. In the sealed vessel they embrace. A star spark glows. He listens for boots on the stair, yet still tends the flame. See a woman alone in a dim chapel. She speaks nothing. She breathes. The serpents rise. The chalice opens. The third presence blooms like dawn behind her eyes. There are no witnesses, no chronicles. Still, a world is changed because one heart has remembered. The current flowed underground but never died. It glimmered in Kabbalah, two pillars reconciled by the middle. It breathed in alchemy, sun and moon, king and queen, marrying to make the stone. It whispered in hermetic axiom, as above, so below, as within, so without. It stained cathedrals with vesica piscis light. It sang in poems of longing where lovers were codes for currents meeting in the soul. Hidden, yes, extinguished, never. And now the prophecy stirs. Look at our age. Masculine without feminine becomes conquest, and exhaustion production without reverence, noise without rest. Feminine without masculine becomes paralysis and drift, surrender without direction, grief without renewal. We swing between fever and faintness. We are tired of tearing in two. The ache you carry is not a flaw. It is an alarm bell and a homing beacon. It is memory. It is invitation. It says, bring them home, bring them together, begin here. Imagine the return, scale by scale. First the self, inhale, lover rises, and courage wakes without hardening. Exhale, beloved opens, and tenderness grows without dissolving. A woman honors her strength without apology. A man honors his softness without shame. Another and another breathes this way until streets feel quieter. Lovers, two circles meet, not halves grasping, but radiant wholes exchanging overflow. Inhale, passion burns clean. Exhale, devotion cools. Attachment loosens. Adoration deepens. The beloved is no longer a rescuer or a jailer, but a mirror where wholeness recognizes itself. Families, guidance braided with empathy, structure braided with play. Inhale, boundaries are spoken. Exhale, hearts are heard. Children learn that firmness can be kind, and gentleness can be strong, that no can be loving, and yes can be wise. Communities, councils where listening counts as contribution, where silence is not absence but presence. Inhale, voices rise. Exhale, space holds. Action alternates with rest on purpose. Initiatives are seeded, tended, harvested, and fallowed like living fields. Nations. Leadership is the marriage of fire and water. Inhale, courage to decide. Exhale, humility to consult. Policies shaped by clarity and care. Borders defined without hatred. Treaties written with commitment and adaptation. Strength measured not by perpetual strain, but by the steadiness of balance under pressure. Earth, resonance spreads. When enough hearts come into coherence, forests breathe easier, rivers remember their banks, storms remember the mercy of rain instead of rage. This is not naivete, it is physics of the subtle. Harmony propagates, the field learns from the steady. Cosmos, above you a choreography you've always sensed, sun and moon courting, planets braiding their ellipses, galaxies wheeling like luminous mandalas. As within, so without. Your inner marriage is a small echo of that larger dance, and by echoing it, you come into tune with it. This is what the mystics foresaw. Temples rebuilt not of stone, but of breath. Priesthood without hierarchy, the priest and the altar inside each human. Millions practicing the simplest vow. Inhale, lover rises. Exhale, beloved opens. Over and over until the pattern prints itself into the nervous system, and the world feels it. So breathe now, and make the vow in plain words. Whisper inward, lover, I honor your fire. Beloved, I honor your water. Let us meet and make light. Say it again, slower, then again, softer. Repeat until the sentence becomes a tone, until the tone becomes a warmth, until the warmth becomes a way of moving through a difficult day with balance, where panic used to be. And when you forget, and you will return by the same door, inhale, lover rises, exhale, beloved opens. Do it twice when hurried. Do it 5 times when afraid. Do it 10 when angry. Let the spine be a pillar again. Let the heart be a chalice again. Let the crown remember the kiss again. Because the ritual is not behind you in ruins. It is not locked in languages you cannot read. It is alive in your breath whenever you remember to breathe. Alive in your body whenever you dare to feel. Alive in your heart whenever you allow warmth to return. The flame is ready. The chalice is ready. The serpents are already stirring. The river is already moving toward the sea. Begin, continue, return. The sacred marriage begins in you, again and again, until your life itself becomes the temple others remember their way back through.